Hello, and happy October. This is Haunted Indiana, Ghosts and Strange Phenomenon of the Hoosier State, written by James A. Willis. This is episode 28 for episode 1 of season 3, Indianapolis. Many people are unaware that Indianapolis wasn't the first choice to be the capital of Indiana. In fact, when Indianapolis became the capital in 1825, two other cities had already been the capital. Vincennes was the territorial capital in 1809, and in 1813, the government moved to Corydon. Today, not only is Indianapolis the largest city in the state, it is also the second largest of all U.S. capitals. It seems everything associated with this city echoes the motto, "Go big or go home." Even the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is recognized as the sporting venue with the largest seating capacity in the world at 857,000 seats. So when it comes to ghosts in Indianapolis, why wouldn't you expect them to adhere to that same motto? No, I'm not going to tell you that there are giant 40-foot ghosts roaming downtown Indianapolis. The ghosts of Indianapolis, however, do tend to be found in big mansions and buildings in the city. So if you find yourself ghost hunting in Indianapolis, here's a bit of advice. Start with the biggest building you can find. As some of the following stories will attest, you just might get lucky and see a ghost. Riverdale's Haunted Pool. James Ashbury Allison was born on August 11th, 1872, in Marcellus, Michigan. He moved with his family to Indiana at the age of 2 and eventually arrived in Indianapolis in 1880. From an early age, Allison adopted the belief that if he needed something and wasn't readily available, he would just create his own. A prime example of this was when he grew frustrated by the less than satisfactory pens he was using for writing. This led him to create his own Allison Perfection fountain pen. In the early 1900s, Allison began working on a series of business ventures that would make him a very rich man. Most notably, in 1910, he co-founded the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was also around this time that Allison and his wife, Sarah, whom he had married in 1907, began the initial plans for what would become their dream mansion. In 1910, Allison and his wife bought more than 60 acres on Cold Springs Road. The actual construction began the following year in 1911. Things got off to a good start, but Allison's desire to spare no expense and create the greatest mansion in Indianapolis soon brought construction to a screeching halt. After visiting his neighbors' mansions, he would return home and change his plans. He eventually fired the original architect and replaced him with one who had designed the home of his friend and neighbor, Frank Wheeler. During the construction, Allison wanted to ensure that his mansion was built with the finest materials available. It is said that an entire species of tree became extinct because he used it all up for the mansion. He even flew in artists from Europe to add their unique flair for design to the home. Allison's attention to detail extended from his house to the grounds and gardens. He hired world-famous landscaper and architect Jens Jensen, and the final version of the plans for the grounds included an orchard, a rose garden, several spring-fed ponds, and even 2 marble staircases. The mansion, named Riverdale, was completed in 1914, with a final price tag hovering somewhere around $2 million. In addition to all of the usual accoutrements one would expect to find in a sprawling mansion, Riverdale also included a marble aviary filled with exotic birds, a music room containing 2-story pipe organ, an indoor pool in the basement, an even central vacuum system. James and Sarah lived in Riverdale until 1928, when they divorced and Sarah moved out. The following month, James remarried, but he passed away a few months later, at the age of 56. Upon his death, Allison's mother, Mira, inherited Riverdale and lived there until she passed away. The mansion was eventually purchased by the Sisters of St. Francis, who in 1937 made it part of Marian College, where it remains today. There have been reports of hauntings at Riverdale, although no ghosts have ever been seen here. Instead, objects move from room to room, as if someone or something is rearranging things. Some of the furniture has been known to move on its own. The room with the most activity is the library, where entire groups of books are said to move from shelf to shelf. Most people believe all this moving is being done by the ghost of James Allison himself. The setting for the best-known ghost story attached to the mansion is the indoor pool in the basement. According to legend, a baby was left unattended near the pool, only for an instant. But that was all it took for the baby to fall into the pool and drown. There are reports of the sounds of a baby crying in the pool area, even when no one is present. And that concludes our first episode of Season 3 of Haunted Indiana. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you didn't like it. Give it a thumbs down if you did. Click that bell icon to stay informed for the next exciting episode. All my links and social medias can be found in the description. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them down below, and I will see you all next episode. Happy October.